It was supposed to be just another perfect evening for millionaire David Whitmore. Champagne flowing, laughter ringing through his Beverly Hills mansion. But in just 60 seconds everything would change, because of a sound nobody heard. And a woman nobody noticed. The Whitmore Annual Gala was the event of the season. Crystal chandeliers glittered above Hollywood's elite as they sipped champagne and traded air kisses. In the center of it all stood David Whitmore, real estate tycoon, master of his universe, completely unaware his world was about to shatter. Meanwhile, his 7-year-old daughter Sophia wandered toward the backyard pool, drawn to the shimmering blue water. Her pink dress fluttered as she leaned over to reach a floating rubber duck. No scream. No warning. Just tiny hands disappearing beneath the surface. Martha Johnson saw it first. The 54-year-old housemaid, invisible to the guests in her gray uniform, froze mid-motion. That flash of pink underwater. Oh God! Not again. Without thinking she ran. Her rubber gloves still on, apron strings flying behind her and her high society guests turning in shock. Splash. The gasps came instantly. Did she just? In her uniform. Some guests actually laughed. One woman in a $10,000 gown sneered. Someone's getting fired. But underwater, Martha wasn't thinking about her job. All she saw was Sophia's limp body drifting like her cousin Jamal had 20 years ago, the cousin she couldn't save. Not this time, Martha thought as her arms closed around Sophia. Never again. That's when David came running. Sophia. Sophia. His baby girl was coughing, crying, clutching Martha like a lifeline. You saved her. David choked out. Martha, dripping wet in her ruined uniform, just nodded. I saw her fall. And in that moment David Whitmore, the man who'd built skyscrapers and amassed fortunes, realized something terrifying. The most important person in his world had just been saved. By someone he'd never truly seen. Inside the grand foyer, 3 people sat in stunned silence. A millionaire, his daughter, and the woman who had just changed everything. David Whitmore knelt beside his daughter, gently wiping her wet hair with a towel. Sophia wouldn't let go of Martha's hand. Her tiny fingers gripping the maid's work roughened ones like they were the only safe thing in the world. Daddy, Sophia whispered. Martha's my hero. David looked up at the woman he'd passed in the hallway for years without really seeing. Her uniform was soaked, her gloves ruined, her hair dripping onto the marble floor. Why did you jump in? He asked quietly. Martha hesitated. Because I've seen what happens when no one does. Let me show you what Martha was really seeing when she looked at that pool. A 12-year-old Martha laughing with her cousin Jamal by a pond, turning away for just a moment, the horrible silence when she turned back, and years of nightmares about dark water. Martha had spent 30 years remembering the cousin she couldn't save. So when she saw Sophia in that pool, she wasn't just saving a rich man's daughter. She was saving Jamal too. David poured 2 glasses of brandy, pushing one toward Martha. You could have lost your job, he said. Ruined your uniform. And yet, some things matter more than jobs, Martha said simply. The words hung in the air like an accusation. Outside, the party guests were leaving, some embarrassed, others annoyed their evening had been interrupted. David stared out the window at the now empty pool. All those people. And you were the only one who saw her. Then came the question that would change everything. Martha. Where do you live? The hesitation told him everything. The staff quarters, she admitted. Behind the kitchen. David walked to the window, looking at the tiny converted storage room where his staff slept. The room he'd never once visited in 5 years. Show me, he said. What David saw would haunt him. A single bed barely fitting in the cramped space, Martha's nursing textbook stacked in a corner, photos of her family back in Mississippi, and the framed acceptance letter to nursing school she'd never attended. You wanted to be a nurse. Martha touched the dusty frame. Still do. But life had other plans. David's hand shook. This woman, this stranger, knew his daughter's favorite foods, his wife's allergies, his schedule down to the minute. And he hadn't even known she had dreams of her own. "I have to make this right," he whispered. But Martha just smiled sadly. "Mr. Whitmore, you don't owe me." "Yes, I do." The outburst surprised them both. "Not because you saved Sophia. Because I didn't see you. Because none of us see the Marthas of the world until we need them." David took a deep breath. "Starting tomorrow, you're moving into the guest house. And we're enrolling you in nursing school." Martha's eyes filled with tears. "I can't accept." "You can," David said firmly. "Because this isn't charity. It's me finally opening my eyes." Later that night, David found a crayon drawing on his desk. A stick figure in a gray dress jumping into a blue pool, saving a pink blob with a smiley face. At the top, in wobbly letters, "My hero Martha." And as David Whitmore stared at that childish drawing, he realized something terrifying. The most powerful man in the room had been the blindest one of all. But this story wasn't over yet. Because when morning came, Martha would walk through the gates of Whitmore Estate as someone entirely new. And David would face the hardest lesson of his life. The morning after everything changed, Martha Johnson woke up somewhere she never expected to be. As a guest in the house she used to clean. She ran her fingers along the porch railing, still unsure this was real. The guest house wasn't grand, but it was hers. A proper bed, a kitchenette, even a little desk for her nursing books. Inside the main house, Sophia came barreling down the stairs before breakfast, clutching a handmade card. "Welcome home, Martha," in glitter glue and misspelled words. David watched from the doorway as his daughter dragged Martha inside, chattering about pancakes. His phone buzzed. Another board member complaining about the help getting ideas above their station. He silenced it with one tap. That afternoon, David's golf partners arrived unannounced. "Dave, you can't be serious about this nursing school nonsense," laughed Charles, swirling his scotch. "Next you'll be sending the gardener's kids to Yale." The room went quiet. David set down his glass. "Actually, Charles, that's exactly what I'm doing." Because here's the truth about David Whitmore that even he'd forgotten. Young David, age 8, watching his immigrant mother scrub floors at the country club. The way the members stepped over her like she was part of the furniture. The night she came home with bleeding hands and still helped him with homework. He'd climbed so high up the ladder. He'd forgotten where his hands first learned to grip. At dinner, David slid a brochure across the table to Martha. "Whitmore Family Nursing Scholarship. Not just for you," he said. "For anyone on staff pursuing education. Starting with Javier's daughter in community college." Martha's hands trembled holding the paper. "This will change lives." "It already has," David said, glancing at Sophia teaching Martha's cat to high-five. The camera would show Martha in her white coat, pinning her nursing badge beside Sophia's glittery sticker. David hosting a party where staff and CEOs mingled as equals, and the now-framed crayon hero Martha, drawing hanging in his office. But the real change. The way David now paused his meetings when the janitor came to empty trash, remembered staff birthdays without his assistant reminding him, and kept extra gloves in his pool house just in case. On a trip to Mississippi, Martha took them to Jamal's pond. As Sophia tossed in flowers, David placed a hand on Martha's shoulder. "He'd be proud of you," he said quietly. Martha squeezed his hand. "He'd be proud of you too." This wasn't a story about a maid who saved a child, or a rich man who said thank you. This was about two people who taught each other how to see, really see, the world around them. And that changed everything. If this story made you look twice at someone you usually overlook, hit like. Share it with someone who needs reminding that heroes wear all kinds of uniforms. And in the comments, tell us about an everyday hero in your life.